This Dodge has Italian blood. It shares a lot with the Alfa Romeo Tonale, and it absolutely shows when you get behind the wheel and start driving this Dodge Hornet. Today we're going to take a full detailed look at the exterior, the interior, talk about the trims and everything you get with it. Let's get started. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details here of this new Dodge Hornet. I'm excited to show it to you. First of all, with the trim levels, we have the GT, the GT Plus, which we have right here, RT and RT Plus. This was brand new for a partial come out of 2023, and 2024 is basically the first full model year. Now, starting right up front, we've got a very unique front end. It looks a lot like the Alfa Romeo Tonale because that is what this is based off of, but you still got the Dodge emblem. We even have a camera up here, which I'll talk about. We've got full LED headlights up here as well. Those are going to be standard. These are reflector lights. There's just no fog lights here. In this hood, you've got these little vents right there, and it's a little bit taller and beefier than you might expect. Now, the paint color on here has been a big topic of controversy of people that have seen it. It's either you love it or you hate it. It's called Acapulco Gold, paired with the 20-inch wheels here. We've got Dodge branded Brembo brakes, these red brake calipers right here. This looks pretty nice. These are 20-inch wheels. We've got the little Hornet emblem right here. I think this looks like a nice vehicle overall. It's kind of sporty. It's something a little bit different for this compact crossover class. What do you think? Dimensionally, it's a little bit on the small side compared to the compact class. It's a little closer to the subcompact, but it's 178 inches long. You will get 8 inches of ground clearance and even a couple different adaptive type suspensions, which we'll talk about. Come into the back, we've got LED taillights, and I love how the LED light runs across. It's not super intrusive, but I think it looks pretty nice. LED blinker there as well. I'm a little surprised we don't have like a dual exhaust or something, at least not on this GT Plus model. But overall, what do you think of the exterior design? Now, one thing I believe is new from 2023 to 2024 is a hands-free liftgate, but there's conflicting information here. On Dodge's website, it shows 2024 GT Plus, which we have, gets a hands-free liftgate, whereas on a brochure, it just says power liftgate, and the RT Plus gets the hands-free liftgate. I'm not sure what's accurate. Either way, you've got a power liftgate here on this GT Plus, but one thing about it is that this cargo area is smaller and maybe disappointing to you compared to some other compact class crossovers. Now, as we take a closer look at this cargo area, it is on the small side for this overall class and size of a vehicle. I do appreciate that we have a center pass-through right there. We've got some anchors, we've got tie downs, we even have these little hooks right here, which could be good to sling some bags and store some stuff. We've got a couple of lights back here and even a cover, so it's a nice overall area. One disappointment is that there's no standard spare tire. They are optional, but it's not standard. You do have a ton of space under this floor if you don't have the spare tire, but I feel like those should still be standard. To throw this backpack in there, that backpack actually takes up quite a bit of space. There's not a ton of height with this cargo cover, so something to keep in mind. To fold the seats down, you gotta come back here, pull this, and there you go. Even with the seats folded, you're still on the lower end of overall cargo space at about 54 cubic feet. But I mean, at least you do still have that option, more practical than a sedan. Now the Dodge key fob. We get a smart key system, standard on here, which is nice. Got the Dodge branding, and then we've got the lift back that you can lift up if you've got the power liftgate, and remote start on the GT Plus model. I like having the remote start. Smart key system works like this. You've got this button you can press to lock it. You even have power folding mirrors that will flash, or you've got the sensor in the back and you're ready to go. The base GT is going to give us cloth manual seats, cloth with some leatherette. But these are optional with Alcantara in this red, and we've got leather, or you can get just full leather seats, but these seats look pretty darn nice. They've got big bolsters on the side body. They've got big bolsters down here, and look how nice and soft this all is. These are heated and ventilated with memory settings. The headrest is a little bit far forward for my liking in some instances, but overall, I think these are some nice seats. Memory settings are right over here on the door. Those again are standard on the GT Plus. The heating and ventilation buttons and even heated steering wheel buttons, you have to touch the screen. It's a little bit annoying that you have to dig into the screen, but there is a shortcut for it. Physical buttons are just pretty much going away now. But the front seat feels more spacious than the back seat, which it should, but I think it takes away a little bit from the back seat. But still, I've been very comfortable in here and got no complaints. The steering wheel is manual, tilt, and telescoping. I honestly wish that it could come out a little bit more sometimes. It's kind of short with that, but it's got good height adjustment. And this is a leather-wrapped heated wheel. You can get a heated wheel and seats optional on the base GT. Now let's climb into the back seat. One thing to watch out for, those of you that are adults, when you open this, the door doesn't stop at the seam. You've got this wing right here that comes out quite a bit. I about took a big old hook to the side of the face when I opened it. But once you get past that, let's dive in. The back seat has a nice padded armrest right there. This is hard touch, typical for this size of vehicle. Little bottle holder right there. Then as we hop inside, you've got map pockets on each side. We even have air conditioning vents and 2 USB charging ports. It's nice to get those AC vents back here. I'm 5'9". This is where I like to sit. I've got decent space for my feet and for my knees, but this is one drawback of this Dodge Hornet is the overall back seat space. The hump in the middle actually is not that big, so middle passengers could probably be okay. We get a center folding armrest right here, even a slot for maybe your phone, some pretty small cup holders, but this is nice and padded. The one thing I appreciate though is that the seat seems to be a little bit higher up, so it's not like your knees are quite as high up into your chest. These seats don't recline or scoot forward and backwards, but it's definitely a passable back seat. Maybe not the most family friendly though. Now let's go ahead and start it up. So push button start is right there. Your auto stop start shut off is right there. We've got a couple of large digital displays and an overall nice interior in here with some red stitching running around. First on the door, this is soft touch. You've got a large soft padded armrest, which is nice, a little grab handle. One thing that I don't like, real quick, let me show you, hold on. Before that, we've got kind of a small bottle holder right there. It can fit decent sized drinks, but one thing that I don't like, these are all one touch automatic, which is nice, but they don't have the click. So if I just press that down, it doesn't click, it just automatically goes all the way down. And on the way up, if I don't want it to go all the way up, I have to push the button again to stop it. Same thing on the way down. Even the back seat, I like to crack my back seat window sometime. If I just press the button, it's gonna go down all the way. It's just a very small complaint, but I wish they had that click to where you know when you're gonna get it to go all the way. That's just me though. But hidden over here, we've got our light controls, plus the power liftgate button is right there, and then some interior brightness controls there. One thing that is nice, it has been very rainy, but we've got rain sensing windshield wipers. You've got a couple of tiers for that, so you don't have to mess around with those too much. The steering wheel controls are unique because unlike a lot of Ram, Dodge, things in the past, there's no rear audio controls. Everything is on the front. And I honestly like that. I like this layout, more driver assist cruise control stuff over there. Sport mode right there on the steering wheel, which I also appreciate. And then your volume controls and your information display controls here. There's a couple quirks about this information display. So first of all, you can use the little button on the steering wheel to bring up different sections. Like right now it's on the right. So you can change through a few icons over here. If I push the little page button again, it's gonna light up the middle, and you can change different things on this display. But the left is pretty much always just the speedometer, and you have a little button on the end of this stock right here that you can press for different views or different little cluster setups. So it's not quite as customizable. And if you want to see more detailed trip information, you have to go onto the screen, tap vehicle, tap trip, and then you can see your current trip or trip A and trip B, and that's how you have to reset it. A little bit annoying, but very small complaint. The material in here, this is actually kind of a softer material up here. Same thing with this. You've got stitching running across here, and everything seems to be put together pretty well. Even though this is plastic down here, it still feels pretty solid, and there's not really any of that glossy piano black. Even these buttons, I love having these physical buttons for controls, but it's a slim and sleek layout for this dual zone climate control setup. Now this display right here, this is about a 10¼ inch display. From here to that corner, you will get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto standard on here, but it takes up a much smaller portion of the screen. So sometimes, depending on what you have going, it can be pretty small as far as the text or touch sensitive buttons, but at least you have that as a wireless option. You've got a bunch of different things you can control as far as your settings go from all these different things over here. Even a little performance icon on here. This isn't necessarily a performance vehicle, but you can see that. You've got your surround view camera on here as well. Of course, you can access that by going into reverse. And even if you don't have the surround view camera, this is an option. You still get rear parking sensors standard, even on the base model. Even a little bit more for comfort controls. So check this out. Tap our comfort. You can control your seats on there, your steering wheel, where the air goes. You've got a shortcut right here to be able to get to that same stuff. You've also got a shortcut right here to be able to get to the same things for your quick seat controls. You can create shortcuts over there, which is nice as well. And this Uconnect system has worked pretty darn well for the most part. One little fickle thing that I have is down here, we have a wireless charger on the GT Plus, but it only charges for like a couple minutes at a time, and then it'll flash saying it's going to stop charging because of a thermal prevention or thermal protection, and then it starts again. It's just kind of annoying. A couple of USB charging ports, so I've actually kept mine plugged in when I need to instead of wirelessly charging. Obviously you don't keep your keys on there when you're charging, but it could just also act as a storage option. You've got a 12-volt power outlet. Over here is actually our volume knob for music. It's like a little slider. There's an electronic parking brake back here, and then your parking sensor and traction control can be shut off right there. Cup holders, a little bit on the tight side, especially if you've got two drinks together. There are little rubber pieces in here to accommodate different drinks. And this armrest is kind of small, but hey, it slides forward, which is always nice. And it's, you know, a little bit of padding on there. Inside, it is pretty darn tight in there. Not much space. I basically just have my wallet in here. Glove box over here, soft opening. Then overhead, our GT Plus gives us an automatic dimming rear view mirror. It also will come with garage controls up here on the visor. Overhead, we've got a button for these lights, and they're kind of very particular. So they're on right now, but you just can't see them all that much. And we will get a sunroof in the GT Plus, but this particular model has it deleted where you get a credit for getting rid of it. So, but it will typically come on here. Then this visor slides out, which is always great. Now, under the hood is where this car actually gets really surprising for me. I kind of figured Dodge would give us something fun because it's just Dodge. They give us the Hellcat, things like that. Now, this isn't that, but you still get two options that are very fun and powerful. First, under the hood with the gas models, the GT models, we get this engine option. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder. They call it their Hurricane 4-cylinder turbo engine with 268 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, paired with the 9-speed automatic transmission. Miles per gallon isn't great because all-wheel drive is standard, so it's 21 city, 29 highway. So if you're thinking you're gonna get this smaller crossover from Dodge because it might be efficient, it's not. It's not as efficient as many other compact crossovers, for example, RAV4, CR-V, but those don't have nearly as much power. Something to keep in mind. One cool thing is this all-wheel drive actually comes with torque vectoring. We'll go for a test drive and see just how well it handles. The other option is the RT models. You get the RT and the RT Plus. Those are the plug-in hybrid models, which give us a 1.3-liter turbo engine and 32 miles of pure electric range. Now, those are going to be a little bit faster and more powerful. Even though it is a plug-in hybrid, it's not going to be as efficient as some other hybrids. It's 29 mpg city, but still 29 mpg on the highway. All right, y'all, we are behind the wheel of this Dodge Hornet now. One thing I forgot to mention is that this does have a brake hold option. You've got to turn it on in the screen, and then you got to turn it off in the screen too. More kind of screen reliance, but The main thing about driving this car is that it is fun. It is very punchy and peppy with this 2-liter turbo. It gets going in a hurry. We'll talk about that in the test drive. Even the hybrid models, the plug-in hybrids, are supposed to be even a little faster than this. They have it's like power shot. I can't remember what it's called, but I think you just like pull both paddles back and you get a boost of horsepower for a period of time. Anyways, this one is still punchy and fast and fun. But before we get on our drive, driver assist features, this comes with a lot of standard stuff. You get adaptive cruise control standard, you get blind spot monitors in the mirror standard, a lane keeping system, forward collision braking as well. A lot of that typical driver assist tech. My first impression here, aside from the fact that it is punchy, is that it feels like it is meant to be on the sporty side. I mean, this has the DNA from the Italian Alfa Romeo Tonale, and it feels like it. I haven't driven that, but I've driven other Alfa Romeos, and they just have this fun feeling about them when you get behind the wheel. While we're sitting here, one more thing that is a little bit annoying to me. Like I said, there's a few annoyances in this vehicle. It's the blinker stock. I've seen this in other vehicles where, you know, when you like push the blinker down and it clicks, it'll stay down in most vehicles, and then it'll unclick once you get through your turn. This one, you can push it down as far as you want and it'll just pop back up to neutral, but the blinker will stay on. And now the blinker just shut off. There's really no feedback with that. You still have the little, you know, 3 blinker tap, but I don't like how it always stays in that center position. It's just a little thing that I'm not a fan of. It doesn't change the vehicle at all, but I didn't like it in other vehicles and I don't like it in this one, but I'm sure you'll get used to it. Now, one thing to note is that this particular model has their dual stage. It's an adaptive suspension where the Sport is supposed to stiffen up, whereas the normal mode that we're in is supposed to be a little bit softer. This is still a kind of a firm ride, which I think bodes to the fact that it's meant to be a little bit sportier, a little bit more fun, but it's kind of stiff, definitely on the firm side. You feel most of the bumps, especially when I'm comparing this to other compact class vehicles, even some of the better handling ones like the Mazda. But we'll get on it here in a second. We'll keep it in normal mode, then we'll ramp it up into sport mode. This does not have paddle shifters, to my surprise. You can use the gear selector to shift if you really want to, but let's get pedal down, all-wheel drive. It's like a little hot shot. This is like a little flamethrower type vehicle. And full-on pedal down acceleration isn't really where this is at its best. I think it's just little spurts here and there getting going. Let's put us in sport mode. The suspension should stiffen up here. It says sport mode on there. RPM should be a little bit higher and quicker. Whoa, partial pedal. That just pulled us right there. It's very, very punchy. That is one of the biggest factors of this vehicle, is that it's actually fun to drive for a crossover. As far as its actual handling dynamics, I think it is good. It's been a while since I have been in some of the other compacts that handle well, notably from Mazda. Even Volkswagen actually handles pretty well too. It's good, but I'm not sure if it's as good or better than those, but definitely pretty darn fun. I mean, you keep it in sport mode, and wow, this thing just goes. It's crazy. It is really crazy. Even with sport mode off, it's still got a punchy transmission. And this 9-speed transmission in here has been smooth. I have barely noticed it. I haven't had big clunks and things like that, so that's great. The hybrid model actually gets an ASIN branded 6-speed transmission, so different transmissions in these models. On a rougher textured road here, you do get some road noise. It doesn't seem too obtrusive or anything like that, but it doesn't have the laminated side glass, so wind noise might not be as suppressed as some others. But there's a RAV4 in front of us, which is another compact class vehicle. That is definitely louder than this is with its road noise. But I hope you enjoyed this test drive. Overall, I like it. I don't like how some stuff you got to do on the touchscreen. I like the climate controls here, and overall I've been comfortable. Not too much to complain about in this Dodge Hornet. So to wrap things up on this Dodge Hornet, this is an enticingly fun vehicle that starts in the low $30,000 with the power of a more fun performance type vehicle and the practicality of a crossover. You can get it with gas or plug-in hybrid models. It comes standard with all-wheel drive and quite a bit of power and torque for this size of a vehicle. It's got a pretty nice interior overall with this Plus model, and there's really a lot to like about it, minus the fact that it's a little bit smaller than some competitors and still gets kind of expensive. So what do you think of this Dodge Hornet? If you're looking for a fun crossover, practical type of vehicle, would you go for this, or maybe the CX-5, or maybe even that RAV4 Prime? Something like that, considering this can be a plug-in hybrid too. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know. Thank you so much for watching.